How do you get that old corporate slide into something more modern, appealing, which will engage with your audience? We're going to get started with the 4 basic steps, part of my Presentation Pro training. And that means we're going to first focus on your audience. We're talking about a dominant profile who are focused on getting results, thinking about solutions. We're going to master your story with a simple message around the urgency to get your projects under control with a project management office, PMO. Now we're going to work on the visuals later, but I want to talk about the approach. We want a corporate feel, straight to the point, but still provide details to demonstrate value. And how you want to deliver that, it's basically tuning into the audience. They want things fast, they want results. So a fast-paced tempo with the narrative focus around solution and results. Now let's take this old slide and just throw it away. I don't want to see that. Now let's take a look at the new slide. We're going to walk through it and how we would present it. So hi guys, I want to talk about Project Management Office, my PMO, and there's different parts where we offer results with the new structure. Well, first of all, we're going to get governance and standards. That means understanding what is going on, getting our finger on the pulse. We're also going to provide resources, so project resources to help your teams deliver on their projects. And also, we're going to be tracking performance to help boost performance. I mean, if you can't monitor it, you can't improve it. Now, this PMO has different approaches, and I want to discuss a small detail on what is the best strategy for us to deploy this PMO. Are we going to be in the back seat pointing the way, or do you want us to take the wheels? So that's basically how I would approach this type of audience, by sticking to details and coming back to the value. If you like my approach, well, perhaps you would be interested into something else I would like to present. Let me tell you guys about my Presentation Pro workshop with 4 easy steps broken down into high-quality, thought-provoking videos. You will have access to powerful and concise walkthroughs that are simple, reliable, and repeatable, that have been written by me personally. This method does everything for you to prepare your next presentation in a way that's going to be fun, immersive, and accessible. Videos, summaries, step-by-step checklist, supporting documentation, and working templates, all in 12 chapters that are crisp and concise. We have over 4 hours of premium content online with detailed video tutorials that help you each step of the way. You'll never struggle with presentation strategy or delivery ever again. I'm guessing right now you're pretty interested in the workshop. Click on the link to watch the free webinar. So if you enjoy the webinar, and you're going to find this file, this document attached to it, so you're going to be able to kind of use it, recycle it, and do whatever you want with it. I'm creating this for you guys. I also want to show you how I'm doing it in my kitchen. So this is a back view of what's going on in the kitchen when I'm cooking my PowerPoint. And you can see here, I'm kind of recycling, I'm just reusing a text and some picture I kind of liked. And I'm playing around with different ideas. I don't know where I'm going right now. All I know is that it's a funny. I was actually kind of reading a manga, or kind of Japanese kind of cartoon books to my daughter, and when I saw the design of the front cover, it really blew me how simple it was and how cool it looked. So basically it was a text like this with a picture in the back. Not a picture in the back. The text was made out of pictures, basically. So instead of, letters which are plainly kind of filled in with the color, well, it's kind of a picture. So it's like the text was carving out something out of a picture, and you can see, not only read the text, but get this feel, this ambiance, just with the picture came with it. It just blew my mind. This is such crazy smart, super intelligent. I mean, gotta love it. So I figured, why not recycle that? So you can see me kind of cooking, trying to figure out, how do I do that? So I took my text and I'm playing around with the colors. I'm figuring, if I put it white and with the picture background, maybe it's gonna look cool. And I didn't know if I could actually kind of replicate what I saw in the manga. But I knew that I could try and figure out like a way to do it. So that's just me kind of working things out, figuring like, okay, there are different layers. So if the text is on the top layer, and like just imagine yourself visually sitting in front of your table for real with a piece of paper, which is what you're seeing right now with a picture. So the text is really when you're craft booking. You have to see all the layers, like the text on top, the pictures in the back, and way in the back, it's just your kind of white background. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting like the text at the forefront, the first layer, the picture in the back layer. What I'm doing is I'm selecting first the picture, then secondly selecting the text, and I'm using like the figure form function in PowerPoint, which can actually like you can see me like right now playing around with the features. I'm trying to figure out like what am I doing wrong, and what I did wrong at that point is I clicked I think on the text first and the picture secondly to go to and then select the features, and it didn't work the way I wanted it to work. So I figured like, okay, maybe I need to do one. And so I never get the order right, by the way. Like I'm good, but not an expert. So what I do is I usually click like the picture first, the text later, as a secondly, and then I click on the different functions to play around with how does it look, how does it carve each other out. So this kind of form feature in PowerPoint is not used as much in corporate slides. And if you do it, you're going to be kind of one of few people doing, kind of using the simple feature. And I think it was cool. I just kind of love the feel to it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking this text, which I got from ChatGPT, by the way. I actually argued with ChatGPT. I didn't like his definition, so I kind of asked him to correct it for what is project management office. But anyways, so at the end of this conversation with ChatGPT, we agreed on like that. I guess that's the best way to explain it. And all I'm doing here is I'm copying and pasting the text, and I'm placing it. I figured like I got 3 paragraphs, core paragraphs, some sort of an intro, and the conclusion. So like in any story, or what we used kind of to learn in school was like introduction, point 1, 2, 3, and then conclusion. I'm just using the same logic you would actually use writing an essay for in college. Oh, my throat is dry. I need to drink. Yeah, sorry. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm kind of using the same structure. And again, I don't know where I'm going. Like this is totally me improvising, like kind of a slide or cool slide or something. I mean, the subject is boring. You can say that. Project management office is kind of a boring subject, and I'm trying to make it fun here. And if it looks fun, it feels fun, and it's fun. So that's me kind of trying things out. So I got the intro, and I want to do this effect of this black and white type of effect where I'm putting a black shape, rectangular shape, behind the text. The text is on the front, and I'm selecting only certain sections of the text to put in white, so it creates kind of like cool contrast. Now, you can kind of do this using a simpler feature, but the reason why I'm kind of doing it this way is because the shape is allowing me to play with the width, the length, and the height, whatever, of that shape. So it's kind of allowing me that extra nudge of control on the design, on the feel. Because otherwise, if you only highlight the text and select the background to be black and the text white, sure, it works, but it looks like crap. It looks like what we used to see in DOS shell, or if you're in the prompt view of your old computer. I just don't like the way it looks and feels. So if you wanted to look and feel like a magazine, if you're reading like some magazine for cooking or whatever, all the people like in design and arts are kind of using this technique to really pick the right width of the rectangle to really make the text pop as much. So once I got that right, I mean, essentially what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create an emphasis that we have 3 core items. So I want to keep it simple. When your audience sees kind of 1, 2, 3, I don't know why, but it always works. More than 3, you're going to forget it, right? But if you actually write it out, sometimes we just put the text and then we kind of forget. It's like, well, it's obvious. It's 3 items. Plus, I've said it. It's like, no. Yeah, you need to write it. They need to see 1, 2, 3. And they kind of lock into this old adage, or this old saying that as easy as 1, 2, 3, right? I don't think we hear it as much now with the youngsters, but anyways, when I was a kid, they used to say this in school: as easy as 1, 2, 3, and then whatever it was, you're kind of tuned in, or you're actually hypnotizing your audience using this 1, 2, 3 and spelling things out. And that's tapping into like this deep assumption that whatever Vince is going to present right now is going to be easy. Is this going to be easy for us to understand? Easy? I mean, people want things to be easy. We're not looking for things to be kind of hard to understand or hard to conceptualize. So as easy as 1, 2, 3. So I figured, like, I'm going to put a number 1, and again, I'm copying and pasting, reusing some stuff. The text really looks crappy so doesn't look good. So what I'm trying to do is I'm doing like a title and subtext. So breaking down the structure of the answer I got from ChatGPT following our conversation, I'm figuring like, okay, well, let's use a big title, like something, the concept of is simple, governance and standards. And I'm going to still keep the details, right? You could have a dominant profile who's a go-getter, results driven, but who's actually at the same time focus on details. So if you're facing this type of kind of boss, director, VP, CEO, president, whatever, you know that, well, still need to provide details in case I get stuck and he asks a question I don't know about, or I don't kind of quite comprehend. So if there's enough information there, I'm feeding most of the questions they're going to have, like the top 10 questions or 80% of the questions they're going to have, and whatever else is something you either know or don't know, but at least you're putting enough detail and page to let them know that, listen, I know enough to write this. I understand it, man. You're creating this content. So creating it is basically, like, just me having a chat with GPT. It just made me kind of more apt to master his subject and to be able to, let's say, exude this sense of competence, which is always great. So when you're creating slides, you could ask like somebody else to do it for you, or chat GPT to work with some other AI to create that slide for you. But I would rather have a deep discussion with ChatGPT or a consultant or a colleague, and then do the slide myself, because now I'm actually owning the subject. I'm physically playing around with these concepts. Where do I put governance and standards? How much detail do I put? Like what is meaningful? You also saw me there doing a bit of a visual trick to it, because there's some bullet points to those 3 items at the right of governance and standards. So those bullet points are great to use, but I've added the small trick of adding a vertical line to connect the bullet points. They do this in magazines, and I love the design. And it's just, again, it's a small difference. That tiny bit of touch, which you can't get right now with artificial intelligence, this tiny bit of touch, this tiny bit of attention you're putting in your slide. I know it's just visual, but man, you're sending out a clear message like, listen, I'm taking this at heart. Like, this is serious as death. Like, and people figure like you probably spent 12 hours or a full day on this slide, while you're seeing me right now create this slide in less than 20 minutes. That's all it takes when you master your subject. In this case, I really master it, I think, to a certain point. But also when this becomes second nature. What I'm doing right now becomes second nature because you've been playing around, you're spending enough time. So hopefully you watching me kind of add in some blocks, building the visuals from scratch is helping you figure out that, listen, you can do this. Like, this is 20 minutes of me doing it, and the result, you've seen it before. So I just want you to feel like this is doable, totally approachable. It just takes a bit of time to work, let's say, the familiarity with the features. But I would say that 80% of what you're going to learn by watching me kind of do this isn't the technicality of doing it. I think it's essentially more like, well, I never thought I could do this. You can do this on paper. You can scrapbook it, and build the same slide, but I want you to see PowerPoint or whatever tool you're using. I want you to see this as something you can carve things out and you can make anything, right? These are just shapes, letters, and basic shapes. I mean, you got circles, squares, lines. So majority of the shapes are super simple, but it's just the adjustment, like how do I put these things together? So what I'm doing right now is actually testing if I can do a step down. So a step down is a visual kind of step you're putting in by changing the tone like I'm doing right now. And then you add in another rectangle on the right side, which would be black, and now it kind of gives this illusion that it's kind of either a ribbon or a step, but they're different levels. So it's a bit of a cheat, a visual cheat, which works and looks amazing. And it gives them the illusion that, geez, it's really a ribbon. It's like, no, it's just a stack of rectangles put together with different colors. That's all it is, but it looks like a ribbon or a step. So that's what I'm playing around with now. I'm kind of stubborn because I have the visual in my head. And I could be lazy. I could say like, well, this is enough right now. I'm just going to copy and paste group 1 and then do the 2 and 3 in conclusion, and that's it. But I'm stubborn. I figure like there's too much white, but I don't want to crowd it up. So I need to be careful by adding in this ribbon. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So I'm moving stuff around, trying to figure out like, how the heck can I add this ribbon? So anyway, so I'm going like, okay, well, let's just do first like let's get a general feel of how the slide's going to look like. So I just copy and paste group 1 and create the 2 and 3. Right now I'm vertically aligning these groups so that actually it feels like uniformly spread out, because symmetry or something uniform is a lot more beautiful or a lot more pleasant to watch than anything else. So you want to be careful with how much space you're giving and that everything is managed well. Now the last point I'm putting here, which is a bit of a conclusion or kind of a closing off on a certain comment. I didn't know what to do with it. I figured like, well, it looks like the type of text you can read on the bottom of a peanut butter, a pot peanut butter. How do you say that in English? Or a Nutella thing, or a container. There you go, a container. I was kind of looking for the word container. I'm sure it's not the word container, but anyways, so I don't want to feel like an ingredient on the back of a container. So that's in the back of my head when I'm kind of working out the sizing of the titles. But it was kind of the first side of it. I saw that, yes, it looks great, but something's bugging me with how I close off on the slide. I want to close off on a high or an open point. So anyways, so what I'm doing right now is I'm essentially trying to figure out, okay, how can I manage the space so that my text speaks loudly enough. That's my phone. Sorry, guys. So how do I get the text to play loudly enough, or essentially, I just want to fill up the space, right? So I want to fill up the space, but when I say this, the text speaks loudly, I want to make sure that if there's a word that needs to be bigger than the other, like performs is bigger than reports or whatever. So if the word performance is bigger, then it needs to be the most kind of the central point of this. It's not even a sentence. It's 2-3 words, but I want to make sure it speaks louder. So bigger is louder. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Obviously, it takes a bit of time. You have to be patient and just mostly be patient with yourself. And also be, at the same time, this just sounds weird, you also have to be super critical of your work. I don't think yet that good is enough, like, is ever good enough. So am I ever like super satisfied with my slides? I think I am. Do I still think they need to be worked on? Absolutely. I don't think there's a single slide I created in my life so far that is perfect, because it's always going to change, right? So when you're working on these slides, it's a balance of being super critical to be the best of your best in terms of kind of visually designing your slide, and you want it to be the best of the best in terms of content and style for the time you're doing it, but you want to make sure that you understand you're producing a it's like you're selling meats or bananas. I mean, it's only good for so long, right? It's not eternal. So you want to be sure that you kind of balance the kind of commitment you're giving to yourself to a perfect slide. The perfect slide does not exist. What we're doing right now is we're creating something more than good enough, something actually completely adequate and adjusted for the situation. So this is a small trick. I take in French we call that astérix, and I don't know how you call that in English. So we take that symbol and I just put it next to it. So it's just a weird way I wanted to visually test out to see that, well, usually when you see a star or see that small sign, you kind of squint your eyes and figure out like, what's in there? I want to know what type of disclaimer you guys have on this slide or this product. So the trick is when visually I wanted to put like a huge symbol like that, and it's a bit of a counterintuitive, like people are going to squint, but they realize it's like, I'm not squinting. I mean, this is big enough, but it's still drawing their attention. So, and the text, I've put it small enough so that people figure out like, I want to know more, like, why is this so small? So this is like a trick of mine to really end a slide at the bottom with something that people want to pay attention to. So one or two words are always helpful in big fonts, and they go like, click here for next page or whatever. But sometimes a single line, a single sentence, wisely written, will actually create a lot of curiosity when you're presenting. If they read it while you're talking, they want to know more about what's going on after. So they're kind of tuning in as you're creating that suspense, right? And I know I'm probably looking more into it than anybody else should. I'm making more, let's say, big deal out of something which could be a minor detail. But I swear to you, I've tried this several times, and it works. Like it's mysterious and amazing how much it works. Small trick to the trade here. You saw I created like a big, huge, kind of white rectangle, and I've pushed it in the back layer. So what I'm doing right now is I want to create, in the back of my mind, I want this cool animation you see like in advertising, in ads, where the text appears behind something else or behind a building. So this animation where the text is popping out, but not like from the left side, because that's a bit of the 80s or 90s style, but it pops out from the middle. And I don't know why it feels more modern, but I guess that's the way it is. So I wanted that feel. So I created that black, white rectangle, put it in the back, and so that when my animation like does like a whoop, it makes it appear, then it just kind of, I don't know, it feels cool. It feels like you're on a website, right? But you're in PowerPoint, and most people like don't know how to do that. And it's just great. Just start using it. I don't overuse it, but I think it's a great trick, and it just looks funky and cool, and people are going to really tune in. It's like this guy, I don't know why, but competence in visual presentation and mastery of your presentation, it kind of translates into basic competence, like universal competence. So if you're presenting this and your customer sees this and your boss sees this and he goes like, whoa, but doesn't like talk about it, but he feels like, oh shit, this is serious. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that this competency is translatable or transverse to other sectors. They assume if you're good at doing this, then you must be good at so many other things, because most people hate this. And understandably, I mean, if you don't know how to do it, then that's a bit of a it's hell when you don't know how to do it. Here I'm playing with the features. You can actually, I don't know if you knew this, but in your animation pane, when you click on it, you get lots of different things you can tune in. So I'm tuning in how soft the landing is for this text. Do I want it to kind of bounce? Do I want it to do a slow kind of roll as it comes in? So I'm playing around with the animation so to tune in how fast this thing comes in and how does it slow down if it slows down, right? And see, there's a little bounce here for the PMO text, and I didn't want to put a bounce for the other ones because I figured like that's enough, you know. So I figured like, oh, I think I got a winning formula here, so I'm going to use that formula the same. So I'm just clicking and going through the same procedure for each animation. Is there a faster way to do this? Probably, most probably. I just thought about it. I should have copied and pasted the animation. I think there's a way I can do that. But anyways, so I'm kind of doing this manually for each group, and I want also the kind of conclusion to kind of shift in, and then it becomes kind of the closing point. So all this tuning in for the animation to really make sure we have the right feel. And this is where everything really locks in. So stay tuned for my next videos. I'll keep posting these different types of examples of how I'm taking the 4-step method to create amazing presentations and really truly engage with your audience.